Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK, a place to share leadership and Scrum lessons. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to support us.
Following the journey of the Australian women's rugby sevens team at the SVNS Valladolid event. What impressed me was not only the championship they won, but also the way they overcame adversity that could have weakened any team. In elite sports, victories are always celebrated, but sometimes the challenges before those victories are what deserve the deepest reflection. Australia entered the tournament under significant pressure. They were not only competing directly with their longtime rivals New Zealand in the race for the top of the world rankings, but also dealing with personnel losses. The absence of two key players due to injury was a major blow to the team's ambitions. In any sport, the absence of top stars often creates a large gap both technically and mentally. Yet what I felt from the Australian team was that they did not allow difficulties to become an excuse for failure. What I truly admire is the sense of unity the players demonstrated. When a team loses outstanding individuals, the remaining members must take on greater responsibility. No one can fully replace a star player, but the team as a whole can work together to fill those gaps. The final against the United States was a clear example of this. It was not only a battle of technique or physical strength, but also a contest of courage and willpower.
I particularly noticed that Australia had previously lost to the United States in the group stage. In sports, losing to an opponent and then facing the same opponent in the most important match is always a huge psychological challenge. Many teams become haunted by that earlier defeat, lose confidence, or play cautiously. But Australia chose a different path. They faced the defeat head-on, analysed it, accepted responsibility, and turned it into motivation for self-improvement. This makes me think of each person's life. Everyone has experienced failure at some point. There are times when we are rejected, underestimated, or do not achieve the goals we set. What matters is not how big the failure is, but how we respond to it. If we see failure as the end, we stop. But if we see it as a lesson, an opportunity to grow, we have a chance to come back stronger. Australia demonstrated this very clearly on the field. Another point I find very admirable is the fighting spirit of each player. Heidi Dennis was named Player of the Match with outstanding contributions in both attack and defence. However, what matters more is that this victory did not belong to any single individual. It was the achievement of the whole team. In an era where people often focus on stars, Australia's story reminds us that sustainable success is always built on collective strength. Modern sports often create very prominent individual icons. But if you look closely, the greatest teams are always those that prioritize the collective over individual ego. The championship in Valladolid is not just about those who scored points, but also about those who quietly defended, supported teammates, followed tactics, and gave their all for the national colours. These are values that any organisation, business, or community can learn from.
Alongside Australia's victory, I also have respect for New Zealand. In sports, we often only remember the winners, but those who lose also deserve recognition. After failing to reach the final, the New Zealand players still competed with determination to secure third place. Their reflections showed honesty, a growth mindset, and respect for their opponents. I believe this is one of the greatest beauties of sport. Competition does not necessarily have to come with hostility. Australia and New Zealand are longtime rivals who consistently produce exciting encounters. Yet behind that rivalry is mutual respect. When New Zealand acknowledged that Australia played better on the day, they demonstrated true sportsmanship. It is the ability to accept reality, learn from defeat, and keep moving forward. Looking more broadly, this story offers many lessons not only for rugby fans but for all of us. First, adversity is not a sign that the journey has ended. Sometimes, difficulties help people discover abilities they never knew they had. Australia lost important players but found new strength from the rest of the squad. Second, failure is not the most frightening thing. The most frightening thing is being unwilling to face failure. Australia lost to the United States, but they did not avoid that result. They analysed, corrected, and returned stronger. This is an extremely valuable lesson in education, work, and life. Third, real success does not come from individual talent alone but from collaboration. No matter how talented someone is, it is difficult to achieve everything alone. When everyone works toward a shared goal, collective strength can create extraordinary results.
For myself, this story reminds me that whenever difficulties arise, what matters is not finding excuses to give up, but finding ways to adapt. Life does not always go according to plan. There will be losses and moments when things do not go as expected. But like the Australian team, the important thing is to maintain belief, keep striving, and continuously improve oneself. For fans, this tournament is also a reminder that sport is not simply about winning or losing. The greatest value lies in the journey, the effort, the resilience, and the way athletes inspire the community. Those moments are sometimes even more meaningful than the trophy itself. On a broader level, I believe all of humanity can find positive values in this story. In a world full of competition, uncertainty, and challenges, people need to learn to unite rather than divide, to rise after failure rather than fall apart, and to respect opponents rather than belittle them. These are universal values that help society develop more sustainably. Australia's championship in Valladolid will become part of sports history. Rankings will change, records will be broken, and new seasons will continue. But what remains is the lessons of determination, responsibility, teamwork, and ambition to rise. That is the kind of victory that goes beyond a single match or tournament, becoming a source of inspiration for anyone striving toward their own goals.
Goodbye Scrum Masters Elite_UK. Like Australia, Scrum succeeds through unity, resilience, and learning from failure. See you again.